Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to Supercoach 360. Addo, as you know, Adrianasaurus, I'm the guest host today because we've got a celebrity on, so I'll do the hosting. Ross, you're probably surprised to see me back in business after you spent the weekend with me because I was messy. Yeah, we went to the Sydney Smash in Sydney. It was great fun. I don't think I caught any of the game. I spilled a lot of drinks on people, and I'm back in Brisbane and ready to go. Welcome to the show, Ross.
Thanks for having me on.
Tim, the steady, calm, sensible voice of the podcast. Anytime I've been on with you, welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks very much, Addo. I've got 3 kids, mate, and my life is hectic as hell. So I'm anything but steady. But no, it's good to be here, mate.
Yeah, you're just exhausted. There's no energy there. And welcome to our guest tonight, the wonderful Chris Tremain. It's great to have you on, buddy.
Beautiful. Thanks very much for having me, guys.
It's been a year where, obviously this is a Big Bash show. Just me quietly. I'm like, well, why is he not getting a run in that team? He's dead set, a legend. There's a couple of, even Paris hasn't been getting many games. It's pretty good bowling outfit with Ellis and Meredith. How's the season gone? Obviously you would have liked to have played, but a good team, the Hurricanes?
Well, yeah, I keep hearing from a lot of players and a lot of different people that and pundits, commentators and whatnot that at the start of the season on paper we look like the team to beat, and I guess the fast bowling stocks are really good. Nath Ellis and Riley Meredith not only play their roles really well, they seem to adapt quite well to new and fresh roles. So coming down here, I didn't expect Riley to bowl as much in the power surges he has, and when he's done it really well. So with the team makeup, I guess we started with Shadab, Paddy Dooley, and a handful of other all-rounders. They can almost get away with only having 2 frontline quicks, and then you can play a couple of specialist spinners and then a handful of all-rounders that pick up a few overs here or there. So with that in mind, I sort of came down and had a look at the, I think, 5 fast bowlers that we got. I thought there might be some opportunity there. But when you're only playing 2 of them, there is another 3 of us sitting on the sidelines biding our time. So, I've been around for a really, really long time now, and I reckon in my mid-20s, I would have been really pissy, for lack of a better word, because I'm not playing, and I would say that I don't understand why I'm not playing. I am very aware of why we are in the position that we're in. So I, sort of sitting there just going, you'd love to play, you'd love to go out there and do what you'd like to do. But I'm fully aware of why we go in with each team, why we're doing this and why we're doing that. So I can't really sit there and complain and go, this sucks, and I should be playing, because in reality, the boys that we've got and the team makeup that we've got are actually doing quite well.
Yeah, I think it's time for you to slip some Metamucil in their drinks or something. Get yourself a run.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Tell Ben McDermott to score some bloody runs. I've got him in the Supercoach team. Had him as captain last week. He scored me 0 as captain. I don't know if you play Supercoach. You're not allowed to. You guys play Supercoach, but anyone else want to ask a question of Chris Tremain?
How are you enjoying your time down there at Hobart? Obviously, you'd like to be getting some games. You're obviously pretty much just based down there at the moment. Have you got the family down there with you, or are they still based in another state, or what are you up to at the moment?
Yeah, well, that's been an interesting one because, right now, currently, I'm sitting in the car just outside of Royal Canberra Golf Club, which has been second home for most of this trip. We had a little bit of time there the last probably 3 weeks where the guys went to Adelaide and Melbourne, and I wasn't part of that touring squad, so I was in Hobart by myself. And then the following week, we had a little sort of break, maybe 3-day break, where we'd sort of planned to go to Barnbougle, and I was going to go up there, come back. My family was going to come down and spend a bit of time with me. The morning that we were travelling to Barnbougle, I got COVID. So I isolated again for another 5 days. And then the day that I got out, the guys packed up and went to Perth and Brisbane. So they were away for another week. So I basically had 3 weeks in Hobart by myself. The family didn't come down, obviously, because I was riddled with COVID, it's been I guess the last 3 weeks have been really slow and a little bit challenging on that front. Amongst the sort of isolation, the isolation put on you by the Cricket Australia's COVID protocols, and then two, just sheer lack of distance between you and the squad. So, I mean, the guys in the squad are fantastic when they're around, but when they're away, they've got their own stuff to deal with. They've got their own stuff to concentrate on. They don't really need to cop any messages from me complaining about how I'm sort of sitting here doing not a lot and getting bored and bored by the day. So other than that, I mean, we're getting to the pointy end of the season now. Regardless of semis and whatnot, the end is just around the corner. So we can grit our teeth and do what we need to do, get through the end of it, and I'll be back in New South Wales eventually Sunday soon.
So you've obviously only got one game left down there. So after that, it's pretty much just head back to New South Wales and get prepped for the next March Cup or Shield game that you guys have got on would be.
Yeah, we've got the game tomorrow against the Sixers, and then the following day we're driving to Launceston. We play the Heat there, and then our fate's sort of sealed after those 2 games. So we know where we'll be and what we're doing. After that, whenever I do head home, it'll be a day off and then straight into this red ball stuff. So we've got a Shield game, I think, starting on the 10th of February. So we'll be into that. We'll get ready to go. Even now, training, we get asked to sort of bowl a little bit more and a little bit extra, still with the white ball, still practicing your stuff, but getting those loads and those numbers through your body. So today, I've never done it before in my life, but today my brain snapped. I hadn't seen the boys for 3 weeks. A handful of batsmen came in, and I bowled and bowled and bowled until the last batsman was done. So that was an hour and 45 minutes. I reckon I bowled 17 or 18 overs, which one hand, quite stupid, but two, I had pent up energy that I just needed to get off my chest. So that was where I landed. So loading, I guess in a loading phase, that's quite good to get those overs in and get ready to go.
Timmy?
I'd imagine, mate, with that, you probably had a few frustrations and everything else to get out. A bit of extra energy that's been sitting there stored like a mousetrap just ready to fire.
Yeah, a little bit. James Hope's our bowling coach. He sort of walked past me when I was about an hour and 15 in, and he goes, "Geez, how many have you bowled here?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know, 15 maybe." And he said, "Oh, when do you plan on stopping?" And I said, "Oh, when are you guys done?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, I'm going to outlast all of you." And I bowled and bowled and bowled, and then when everyone was done, I bowled one more ball, just to be the one that was the last, like just to get the last say. And it wasn't so much pent up aggression or grumpiness for not being in traveling squads or not playing or anything like that. I think I just genuinely needed to get out there and just get after it. And there was, over the 3 weeks, there's probably a lack of competitive anything. There was no competitive nets, there was no games, there was nothing like that. Finally got myself into an environment where I could compete and get into a bit of a tussle. And yeah, like I said, for whatever reason, brain snapped, and I just kept going and going and going until the last ball was done.
Mate, I'd imagine that's what every coach wants to see, though. They want to see their players. It doesn't matter what sport you're playing. Every coach that's into sport wants to see their players out there busting their ass. They don't want to see them sitting in the bar. They're out there pushing all the time to try and get better, more longevity, being able to bowl for longer stints. So I'd imagine in one hand, your coaches are probably sitting there going, "Yeah, look, don't get injured, don't hurt yourself. We've got a game coming up soon." On the other hand, they're probably going, "It's good to see you out there busting a nut, trying to always improve yourself and obviously what's the word? It just obviously increase your time."
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess more to a point that I think New South Wales would be happy that I had this session today and was had half an eye to the future. I wasn't really thinking about loading at the time, but when I was halfway through, I was like, you know what, if I get nothing out of today, if there's no benefit to me doing this with the white ball stuff, I will at least get some loading into my body and under my belt. So I guess I'd be happy with that. I've sort of been in this situation the last few years where I feel like I'm actually bowling really well. Everything's going quite well. Slow balls are good, control is good, all that sort of stuff. But opportunity is lacking. And I had this conversation last season, and it was basically find a way to add value, which is a really difficult thing to do when you're contracted to play cricket and you're not playing cricket, and that's frustrating as hell. But where can you add value? So last year at the Thunder, I just took on the golf and social side of things, and I made life outside of cricket really fun for everyone, because we were in the hub then, we're in the bubble, and I think the guys needed someone or something to take their mind off the monotony of being in a bubble. So I took that on, and that was really enjoyable. So I tried to add value there. And then at training was, right, what do you need from me today? They don't need to see me bowl at the top of off. They don't need to see my slow balls. They don't need Yorkers or anything like that, because they know I can do it. The skill set is there. What do you need from me today? All right, well, we need you to come around the wicket to our lefties, because that's what we think is going to happen. We need you to bowl back of a length, because we're going to the MCG, and that's what's going to happen. And that's where I tried to add value as much as I could, because it basically, you're either moving forward or you're stagnant. And if you're stagnant, you're moving backwards, basically. So we found a way to add value, however that looked. Last year it was socially. This year it's what do you need from me? How can I better the people around me as best I can?
See, I'm already seeing why you're more successful in life than I am. Just
Absolutely, mate.
I better
I'm
work
thinking
it.
the same thing.
I'm having beers. Yeah, you're a hard worker. Good stuff.
Mate, I'm a school teacher. You can come and talk to students at my school anytime you like, because that's the shit that they need to hear.
Well, my mother is a school teacher, and I've actually been to talk to her Year 12 students a handful of times, and it's quite funny because I go in and it's Mrs. Tremain's son, the professional cricketer, and all that sort of stuff, and they're really excited to hear about how great everything is and how this, that, and whatever. And I basically walk in there, it's a really bleak outlook. I say, this can suck, and this is really hard, and most of it's shit, and you're going to hate doing 75% of the things you do, but 25% of the time it's really, really valuable, it's really worth it, and all this sort of stuff. But basically spend the whole evening saying life sucks, find a way to deal with it and get through it, and once you get through it, absolute rainbows appear.
Beautiful.
Awesome,
well, I'll get to something more. Well, it's not silly, but I want to ask a question that interests me. 2017, 2018 was a pretty good year for you. You were the leading Shield wicket taker. You got a call up to the Australian team, although you didn't get to play, but I still count that as a dead set win. Did you get a baggy green? Or do you got to run on?
No. You've got to play to get the baggy green.
They should give everyone one. I reckon that should change.
Yeah, well,
do they give you one that's just less baggy or something? Like,
you
walk around the room and you go, "Who are these douchebags with all these other funky looking hats on? I didn't get one of them."
No, they give you an Australia A1, so which is sort of like a different emblem. It doesn't have the distinguishing factor is the red emblem with Australia across the bottom of it. It's a little bit of a different emblem, but it's basically Cricket Australia emblem. So you walk around with that. I had that. I've played Australia A few times, so I had that in my back pocket. But the brief foray into the Test squad was fun. I was really excited because I got a call saying, "Yep, you're in the Test squad for the first two tests against India." That was cool. I once again still really I knew where I stood, so I didn't expect to play. And then we finished up a game. We finished up. I don't know. We're in Adelaide. The Test team was in Adelaide. I got sent back to play Shield cricket in Melbourne. And when we finished the game in Melbourne, I got a call saying, "Oh, look, mate, we're not going to need you in Perth, so don't worry about coming." And I was like, damn. So I got dropped from the Test side before I got my second test or my second crack at it, which would have been awesome because you get a little financial kicker for being in the test squad. I was spewing. I was like, geez, I was never going to play, but at least give me the money.
Yeah. Oh, that's reasonable. Well, actually, my question was, in that year, in 2017, leading wicket taker in the Sheffield Shield, but you also scored a century. Which was that super enjoyable, getting a century in Sheffield Shield cricket as a frontline bowler?
It's more satisfying than any other accomplishment in my career. And it still is.
Izzy Gillespie, mate, he loves it. He's got a big 200.
Exactly, and I still talk about it, and I still talk about scoring 100, and like a lot of the kids at New South Wales are still like so frustrated by it because all conversations seem to make their way back to this 100 in Alice Springs. And we've got Maxie Klinger now, who is head of male cricket at Cricket New South Wales, and he actually played for WA in that game. I annoyed the hell out of some youngsters in Darwin a few years ago because we were back in the NT talking about this century. And then I had Maxie on loudspeaker in the group one day, and he brought it up again, and they all like eyes rolled in the back of their heads like, "No, Maxie, we've heard this story so many times. Just don't stop talking about it." Yeah.
We had Thomas Kelly on the pod last week. Chris that plays for the Strikers, and we're having a chat with him and a bit of a laugh about Dizzy, how he apparently asked him how often does he mention about his 200, and they said, well, they actually have a WhatsApp group or something, and he signs off Diz 200 or something like that as his sign off.
Dizzy 201, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's what I do. And I'm always really quick to point out to any of these young cricketers like Will Pucovski, right? I think he's got one, or at one time he had one century in Shield cricket when I was playing with him. And he was razzing me because I'd talk about my century, and he's like, "Well, I've got one now, and I'm going to get more than you." And I said, "Yeah, but I've got a century, I've got fifers, and I've also got a tenfer. So until you got a fifer and a tenfer, I'm a better all round cricketer than you are, and I'm probably better all round cricketer than you'll ever be. So because you're never getting 5 and you never get 10. So I've always got that one in my back pocket as well."
I remember back when I was playing as a youngster, they were picking like a state team, and I bowled like first change. I was a fast bowler for a youngster, but in that game, I don't know, something happened and they put me up as a night watchman, and I scored 170, and I got picked in the state team as a batter, and they never bowled me ever, but I was a bowler who could just wield the willow. I fooled them that I was a batter.
It's a sliding doors moment, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think I had to play a few games. I never even got to see my talent as a bowler, and I was in there as a batter, and I stunk pretty much. It was just that one time, and they must have just loved what they saw. There you go. There's my story.
It's weird where your head goes because it was in Alice Springs, 40 degrees, absolutely cooked. We'd gone to the casino the night before for Chinese food, and I got sick. So I was firing out both exits, cramping. My hands were cramping and I had to open my fingers up and then re-grip the bat with my cramping fingers. And even after all of that, scored the 100, gave us a great opportunity to win this game. I went out to bowl and I was like, all right, I'm going to take fifer now because no one scores a century and takes fifer. And if I was older or if I'd had any semblance of experience in my mind, I would have gone, you're kidding yourself because you can't bowl a hoop down a hill at the moment because you have no energy. You're going to have nothing behind you. You're going to bowl a pile of shit. But just be happy with what you've got. But when I was young and mad, I was like, nah, give me everything. I want everything I can get out of this game.
Lads, anything else for you?
Yeah, Chris, I just want to ask you, who was probably the main influence for you in your cricket career? Like, you've had a really good career. You've been a really good player for New South Wales, Victoria. You know, you've been around for a while now. So who was the one who probably influenced you the most and got you to the bowler that you are?
Yeah, it's a hard one because there's so many different periods in a career, and there's so many people that send you on the right trajectory. So I guess when I was younger, I grew up in a tiny town called Yeovil. There's like 300 people there. There was 100 people in the school from kindergarten to year 12, and we just happened to have the New South Wales cricket convener was our PE teacher there. And since I was in kindergarten walking around, he'd walk around on playground duty with a tennis racket and a tennis ball. And every time he saw me, he'd hit catches at me until I dropped them. And then when I'd get in trouble and get sent to the principal's office, so I'd always bypass the teacher's lounge and see if he was in there. And if he was in there, rather than going to the principal, he'd take me down to the nets and throw balls at me, and I'd hit balls for 45 minutes or whatever. And his name's Damien Tui. He did it for years, and he definitely sent me on this I guess you'd call it wild goose chase. He was the one that put this idea in my head that I could be a professional cricketer. And then as we sort of went through the stages, he's still like, I called him on the way out to golf today to chat to him about a few things and whatnot. So he's still very prominent in my career. And people like Grandad always, he was a really good local cricketer, really good bloke. He was a farmer for 65 years, worked his ass off through 12 droughts, self-made man, everything about him. And I was like, well, if he can do that for as long as he has and cultivate what he's done, then there's no reason why I can't do just about anything. And anything for me was cricket. So I had a handful of people growing up that I was like, right, that's the bloke I want to be. This is the people that support me. This is the trajectory that they see me going on, where I see myself, and a great support system that flicked me up the chain. And then, I mean, as we got further through my career, Andrew McDonald, the current coach of Australia, he was fantastic. He gave me a lot of confidence to do my job. He also gave me both barrels when I needed it. And then I was even thinking a handful of weeks ago, back playing with Matthew Wade, which I haven't done since Melbourne, since my Victorian days. And I was thinking to myself, if he hadn't rode me as hard as he did when I first got down to Victoria, I wouldn't have been, I guess, as resilient a cricketer as I was, because if I wasn't resilient when I got there, I was chewed up and spat out. So there's just this plethora of people who pop up. It seem to pop up at the right times in a career, and you don't even know that they're doing it at the time. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, geez, like if he hadn't said that or done that or acted this way or treated me this way, things could have played out a lot differently. So I couldn't give you one. I could give you different people over different periods, and that's naming what, 4. There's probably 12.
Timmy?
Mate, I've got a whole stack of questions for you. Mate, I've got a little boy. He's just about to turn 8. He's just gone through his first season of Blaster Bash cricket, or whatever they call it these days. Mate, he absolutely loves it. Before I just came on the show, I've been outside for the last hour throwing balls to him. Mate, he's actually asked me a few questions to ask you, if that's all right. So his name's Bailey. His name's Bailey. I'm sure he'd love a shout out. I told him, mate, I'll make sure I ask your questions, and we'll get Chris to give you a shout out.
Perfect. All right, no worries.
Mate, so first question he wanted to know, how old were you when you first picked up a cricket ball?
I would have picked up one at some stage. Dad always played cricket when I was growing up, so it would have been quite little, 3 or 4. We've got a 4-year-old. He's got cricket balls in his hand now. Not through I want him to pick up a golf stick, so totally different. But I remember
golf
I played
if you're good at it.
very good cutthroat game, but very good. I played my first game, I remember, when I was about 6, and then I reckon I was actually chasing a girl. There was a girl that I fancied at school. 6 years old is a weird time to be fancying a girl, but I fancied this girl at school, and I chased it basically to the nets, and we were playing cricket, and started playing cricket, and then forgot about the girl, and here we are, 25 years later.
Yeah, see, that's the story of my life, minus the cricket.
Yeah. So cricket was your second love.
Yeah,
It
was.
First didn't last real long.
Not long at all, no.
Mate, when you were a kid playing cricket in the backyard, who were you? When I was playing rugby league, I was always Alfie Langer. My older brother was Ricky Stewart. When I was playing cricket, I loved Dean Jones. I'd go and put the zinc on the mouth or on the nose, and so whenever I played in the backyard, I was always Jonesy. Who were you when you were a kid playing in the backyard?
Yeah, this is the interesting because I was nobody. I never picked anyone that I idealised. And I never understood. I never really understood why. I used to love watching McGrath and Warren bowl in tandem when I was like 12. But I never went out the back with my brother and played and was like, oh, I'm going to be Brett Lee today or anything like that. I for whatever reason, I never did that. I do remember though, we had a cement wicket and a like a tennis backboard and it was about 10 meters long. And me and my brother would play cricket on a cement wicket with a golf ball. So it was bloody brutal, and we just bowled bounces at each other and carrying on. And the house was on the left side as well, so you couldn't really hook them into the house, and it was carnage. I'm surprised my brother's not an absolute gun at cricket because he got like a baptism of fire.
Yeah, well, I've got 5 older brothers, and the ultimate insult you could ever do, because we were all righties, if you bat left-handed, that was the ultimate insult. You'd be getting chin music from like your older brothers, mate. The amount of times I copped a cricket ball in the face just for being disrespectful on the lefty.
Of course, all day.
Mate, Bailey's next question. How old were you when you had your first debut at like a real club or whatever? I guess your first club you got paid for or yeah.
Yeah, okay. I moved to Sydney when I finished school. I moved to Sydney probably a little bit late. I would have been close to 19 because I had a shoulder reconstruction after school. Moved to Sydney. Went to uni in New South Wales because they could sort of network me and help me with uni. They certainly never paid me because they were never that club. But I guess I was I sort of played in Dubbo and a few places like that where, at 15 or 16 years of age in the men's cricket. I played in Wellington when I was 12 or 13 in men's cricket, which I think has a very big bearing on how I ended up, the cricketer I am and probably the character I am on a cricket field is because I was exposed to, beer drinking, dart smoking, swearing old men who were angry at life and took it out on a 12-year-old. So, and then I was in Sydney for maybe 2 years and I got very lucky and got picked for New South Wales. So I didn't get paid to play cricket until I was 20, and Mum and Dad and I never spent over $200 on a cricket bat before I played Shield cricket, before I got sponsored. So I played my first Shield game with this weird bat from India that I got from sort of a training camp over there. It was just bizarre. But yeah, I've never spent over $200 on a cricket bat. Didn't get paid until I was about 20. So
that's awesome, mate. Mate, I love your attitude. You're fantastic. It's just down to earth, dude. You've done everything the hard way. It's actually, truth be told, all the guys that we've had on the show have just been awesome. They've been open books and just really lovely young blokes. It's been great to talk to. Mate, if you weren't a cricketer, what else would you be?
Well, Mum always wanted me to play rugby for the Wallabies. That went out the window really early, about 15. I said, I hate this game, and then I smashed my shoulder to pieces and never played again. So she wanted that, and she was still a bit pissy about it, even when I became a professional cricketer. And I said to her, Mum, if I played for the Wallabies and you got to go watch a test in a corporate box or something like that, you'd have 80 minutes to drink champagne. If I play a test match, you got 5 days. You got 5 days to whack champagne. So be happy with what you got. And I think that obviously did something to her, because now when they come to Shield games, every wicket that I get, they go buy a glass of champagne, which is hilarious, because a couple of games down in Melbourne where they, Mum and my wife or dad or whatever, they've gone and given it a nudge, and I've gone to bed early and then woken up the next morning. We've started early and I take, wicket in the first over. They've got to go get a glass of champagne at, 10:02 in the morning, and they're stinging, they're hating life.
These Tremains, mate. They're lunatics. Look at them.
Yeah.
10 a.m. It's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world.
Yeah. So.
Well, you've taken a few wickets this year too in Shield, so I'm sure there'd be a lot of drinking happening at the moment, right?
Well, there's always a lot of drinking happening back at home. But I even get text messages now from Mum or my wife or whatever, and let's say I take 3 wickets in the game, I get like 3 little champagne emojis rather than like a clap or a well bowled or anything like that. Just however many wickets I get, a little champagne emoji.
Chris, my brother actually played cricket for Uni New South Wales. He didn't play first grade. His name was David Mann, and he was a leg spin bowler. He's currently living over with his wife and kids in Amsterdam, but he played a lot of cricket there. He was a lecturer at the uni there. I'm pretty sure he's there about the same time you would have been too.
It's very likely we would have come across him, and I'm horrible with names, but if I saw his face, I'd probably recognise him because I was at my most influenced when I was at Uni New South Wales as a kid. So I was very social and I got to know everyone at the club.
Yeah. I was Merv Hughes, by the way, when I used to play. I loved doing a Merv. Merv had an action that was, you used to copy, the stretching and just that little looping arm as he bowled. And he was, you'd always like draw on with a Sharpie, a big mo. It was great fun bowling as Merv. And I mean, Bevan, I couldn't, because I would ultimate disrespect batting left-handed, but I started to try some lefties because Bevan, what a winner he was. Here's my question. Who's the weirdest player you've ever played with? A weirdo. Will you come across a lot of weirdos in your life? And in a lot of clubs, there's got to be a weirdo. Or
and is his name Paddy Dooley?
He seems like a different sort of character, doesn't he?
Yeah, Paddy's different, but he's got this boyish wonder to cricket because he's so new to it. So he loves taking wickets, and he loves getting in the contest, and he loves doing well, which is awesome. He's like a teenager getting his first taste of this. So that's actually pretty cool to see as a guy that hasn't come to he hasn't had any days in the dirt in 4-day cricket yet, and he hasn't come to hate the game yet. So that's exciting. I hope Paddy holds on to that for a long time. But a weirdest player, I'm different. I'm really different. I cultivated a nickname when I was younger called Cut Snake. People still call me Cut Snake. I was mad as a cut snake, obviously. But in the way of mannerisms and discussions and talking, all that sort of stuff, Steve Smith, he's out there like Pluto, as you'd expect, with all that like jittery and touching and all that sort of stuff. Very, very good fun to be around. And then his little offside of Marnus. Marnus was always bizarre, but he was bizarre because the same reason as Paddy Dooley. You're like, how can you be this excited on day 4 of a Shield game in the dirt? How have you not just like put a stump in your mouth and run up the wall yet? Because like he's got this unflinching love for the game, and that to me seemed weird. I was like, how do you still love this game so much? How have you not had a day in the dirt where you're like, geez, I am looking forward to retirement?
I'll tell you why Marnus is the weirdest thing I've seen from Marnus. It was a TikTok video where he's doing, here's how you have a toasted sandwich, and he puts it in the fridge. He's eating these toasties cold. What a sicko. He's a lunatic. I'm advocating him as the craziest bloke in cricket.
Yeah, well, there's
cold toasties.
There's never just one person. There's always some like psychotic behavior that like one little thing that someone does and you're like, oh, that is strange. One
of my favorite moments I've ever seen was Madison eating a toasty it's toasty related as well, out of his pocket on the field. What a moment.
And you know who made that for him?
Was it you?
Get out of here. That's terrific.
I made it and ran it out.
Oh, you then. You did it. Yeah. I feel like we've held you up now we've had you on for long enough, and it's been an absolutely terrific chat. It's so good that you guys come on the show and give us a mindset on what it takes. And I think that's a good message you give to school kids, because I think they should all be full of wonder, but once you start getting to that year 12 age, it's probably time to get ready for the real world. And it's a good message to give to them. Just take those little moments. You're going to have a lot of bad ones. And you've got to just find a resilience. I reckon the cut snake too, you might have learned a bit of that off Matty Wade. Not a bad VC gig when you're in the Hurricanes this year. You get a few captain games with Wade, don't you? Get suspended every couple of days.
Yeah, but the same reason we hate playing against him, the same reason we love playing with him, and the same reason he gets suspended is the exact same reason we love playing with him. So
Hey, before you go, Chris, because we had Jimmy Neesham on the pod a couple of weeks ago, and he said he spent a lot of time with you in the car, and he said you had some interesting stories. Is there any short story that you want to share with us that because he said he loved his time in the car with you. There was some interesting car trips, he said.
I think I've been on here long enough to know that I don't have any short stories, and none of them are short. They're all pretty long. Jimmy and I spoke. We had 2.5 hours in the car to Lonnie and 2.5 hours back. And we went down a rabbit hole into like, molecular level biology and the cosmos and space-time travel and light speed and nearest habitable solar systems, Alpha Centauri, how long it would take us to get there, traveling at what speed, all this sort of stuff. So that's why I'm definitely the weirdest cricketer I've ever met, because not only being like the cut snake and like just a totally random country boy with whatever you see on the surface, there is a massive nerd inside me just brewing for information and then trying to find out as much as I can. So, even sitting there, we went from how would we ever terraform Mars to like battles in World War II, and then like it was just bizarre. Like we talked about everything, and it's funny that he mentioned that, because I actually thought when I got out of the car, I was like, this bloke's never getting in the car with me ever again.
He's a weirdo too. He loves it.
Yeah. Value. He loved every bit of it.
I'm glad.
Well, Chris Tremain, it's been a pleasure chatting. Thanks for jumping on the show. And good luck. You obviously you might miss the end of the Big Bash. It's running out, but good luck in the upcoming Sheffield Shield season. And hopefully, if a whole bunch of people get, diarrhea, maybe you'll get that second cap for Australia. Does it still count this far after you get your second game? You get the cash?
No, I've not played. I was just in the squad for one, but I've definitely, if I get back in there, I'll be definitely get the cash. But we'll have to get 12 to 15 people to go down real hard. So I'm a long way down at the moment. But anyway, thanks very much for having me, guys. And Bailey, thank you very much for all those questions. They were awesome, and keep enjoying the cricket. Keep having fun, because it can certainly turn on you. So enjoy it. Keep a smile on your face, and have fun with your mates.
Thanks, Chris.
That's awesome, mate. Thank you very much.
No worries, guys. Thanks very much.
See ya.
Oh, well, that was terrific to talk to Chris Tremain. I'm a heartless monster of a thing. I really am. But I really enjoyed talking to him. He seems like an absolute terrific bloke. I mean, so was old mate I chatted to there from the Hurricanes as well. I shouldn't say call people old mate. That's rude. But he was lovely. Look, we are a Supercoach show. So let's talk about, we are at the very end of Supercoach. I hope you guys are going well this round. I'm spewing that Lance Morris didn't get picked in that last game. He got 100 in the first game at least. Nisa was my captain, and he scored 2 points in the second game. Last round, it's the Hurricanes on the double. I don't know what you've got stashed, guys, or who you're targeting. Ross, how you looking for next round? Anyone on your radar?
Well, I haven't got any Hurricanes at all in my team at the moment. I've only had none. I had McDermott, and I sold him last round, which was good because he's been absolute dog shit. But the only ones I'm probably looking at the moment, I'll probably bring three in with my three trades I've got, which would be Ellis, Meredith, and pending availability, maybe Mr. Dooley, Mr. Hooley Dooley might be the other one.
Yeah. Tim?
Mate, I've currently got Meredith and McDermott, and Dermy's just been, God, he's been so bad.
You just know he'll go big in the last round. You just know it.
Guaranteed, mate. I had Wade for most of the season. I think I only let him go last week. So he may come back in. We'll see. But yeah, Nathan Ellis will definitely be the main one that I'm targeting. I only used one trade this week because I missed the knockout of the first game, and after that it was kind of pretty pointless trying to bring in double gamers for this week. But from the look of things, I don't want to go the early crow, but it's the best week I've had in ages because I'm beating Rosco at the moment by about 42 points in head-to-head. So
love it.
It's not a cashy, so he's probably not even looking at it, or so he says. But yeah, look, I'll probably use all three trades and try and bring in three Canes players because I've had an absolute shocker for the last 3 weeks. I didn't have a red arrow all season after round one. And then I've just had three reds in a row. So all my really good work has just gone down the toilet over the last 2 weeks. So
nothing to lose. You might as well bring them all in, you know.
Well, that's what I figure, mate. I'll just throw the kitchen sink at it now. I've dropped back to about 3.5K, which sucked because I was just inside the 2,000 2 weeks ago. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I've already got Ellis. I'm still holding on to McDermott. I captained him a couple of weeks ago. Then I was like, well, surely you'll go good the next week. And it was a 7. I feel like we've got a crescendo. It's coming. Something. It'll be another 0. He'll get another 0 in the double, or he'll score 200. I have Ellis and Meredith. So I've already got 3. Paddy Dooley is number 1, I think, on my list because I worried that maybe people would work him out by now, but he's been consistently scoring. He's one of the all-time great celebrators in the BBL, I reckon. Got a bit of Brett Lees about him with the way he celebrates. You just can't not be excited. I mean, look, Matty Wade probably because I feel like he's a class player, and I feel like he's probably due as well soon. Anyone else really in a bowling sense? I'm going to bring in 3. If you've already got all the ones I've got, who you reckon is the next cab off the rank?
I think Jim David's not a bad option either.
Yeah, Caleb Jewell, he could go off, couldn't he? Definitely. He's gone off well this year.
And Tim David too, and he's been bowling some overs too, so he's not a bad option either.
Yeah, so I think they're probably a couple of decent options, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, David's certainly been getting some overs now. So at the start of the tournament, he was really only there as a batter, but now he seems to be throwing a few over as well and seems to be getting some rewards for it. So, yeah, look, maybe these are questions we should have been asking Chris. Who do we bring in next week?
Yeah, who do you bring in? Is Shadab coming back? Well, is he? Does anyone know? I don't think he is.
Well, he's supposed to be back for the next round, but he got injured.
Yeah, he missed that last series, didn't he?
I haven't heard. I'll have to ask the Honeyball on that one. He'll surely give us an update, hopefully.
Well, I could be interested in him in Shadab because I wanted him right from round 1. I didn't bring him in, and I brought him in right at the end and got rubbish scores and an injury. I got him for 1 round, actually, I think. 1 round of the shit score and injury, and then I had to trade him out because he didn't play the other games. I thought I got a couple of games out of him, but he didn't play anymore. That's pretty much it, isn't it, guys? Next round, it's the end of Supercoach BBL. We'll have a small break because all of us are NRL players in the Supercoach, and it's ramping up for the new season there, big time.
I think it just gets out for 6 runs.
Of course. Good luck, guys, in the upcoming round, and we'll talk to you soon, eh?